It's a weekend of as you were at the top and the bottom of the Premier League as Arsenal and Man City both win, and Spurs, Nottingham Forest, and West Ham all lose. Champions League race is heating up. All of that is to come on the Premier League Roundup show. A bonkers weekend of footballing action. How are we, gentlemen? Are you ready to unpack it all?
Yeah, all good. I know the results didn't exactly help, but recovered a little bit.
Josh is raging, right? You wait. I'm gonna let Josh loose in about 30 seconds, and he is raging. Sean, what a bonkers weekend.
Oh yeah, it's much as you were like you said. It probably just the same as we see every week. Probably that's what it come down to.
Indeed. Let's go straight off to Molyneux, what feels like many moons ago on Friday evening. Wolves have gone past Derby's points total, and they have picked up their second win of the season, and both of their wins have came against clubs wearing claret and blue. Josh.
Yeah, I said to you before we come on, honestly, as bad as I've seen it under Emery, like performance and results, and we've been knocked out the FA Cup by Stevenage at home, but I'd say this is worse. For 5 games straight now, we've played Leeds, Brighton, Bournemouth, Wolves, and can't remember Brentford, and we've took 5 points in them 5 games. And I'd say it's literally been as bad as the first 5 games of the season where we didn't score a goal. The style of play, it's just honestly, I feel like at the minute we're just the most boring team to watch in the league. Just the tempo is just so slow. The amount of times I've seen Eddie Connors and Paul Torres just stand the ball for 10 to 15 seconds just to pass it backwards to Martinez or to one of the fullbacks. It's just countless. It's just something's really got to change. The two in the middle of the park, Louise and Onana, they're just been hopeless, to be honest. Just so robotic. They don't do anything different other than pass the ball sideways or backwards. We're drastically missing Yori Tielemans, just someone who's going to do something a bit different, just play the ball into the space in behind rather than just do a 6-yard pass sideways or backwards like the other two robots we've got in there at the minute. I just think the whole team, last 5 games, just been far too robotic. Anytime we come up against a low block, we don't change the way we play. We don't move the ball any quicker. The tempo stays the same. We just teams just sit back, allow us to have the ball, and hit us on the break. It's so easy to play against Villa. And even when teams come out against us, like Bournemouth, we drew to them. They actually come out and had a go at us, and we still looked poor. First half we were okay, had the one in the lead. Second half we were absolutely dominated. And yeah, against Chelsea on Wednesday, I feel like we're going to get absolutely battered the way we're playing. I remember saying these 5 games, like I said, Brentford, Brighton, Bournemouth, Leeds, and Wolves. We had these 5 games going into Man United and Chelsea, and I was thinking get 10 to 12 points in them 5 games, so the pressure's off going into them 2 games against the teams around you. But we've just put the pressure right on ourselves now because 5 points in them 5 games it's not good enough really, and you can blame the injuries. Obviously, that whole midfield ripped apart with McGinn, Kamara, and Tielemans, but at some point you have to learn to adapt. Even if it means tweaking the style of play, going a little bit more direct, up in the tempo against the low block. But we haven't. We've continued to play the same way, without key players, and these players they don't seem to be able to do it. Douglas Luiz, he's getting lots of stick off the other fans. So people are forgetting how good he was the year we got top four, but he's come back half the player that he was. He doesn't do anything different other than pass it sideways or backwards, like I've said a few times. Even
Just to resurface that point from last week in terms of the top four. So now Villa have dropped down to fourth. Man United are up to third. So Villa had a 5 game spell at the start of the season when they didn't pick up a point. You've now had another 5 game spell where you've been pretty poor and picked up 5 points out of those five. So it's 10 games and 5 points. It's at fourth, right?
yeah, that's
Which is pretty miraculous and fair play to you to be in that position. But you mentioned before how you feel you'll slip out of those Champions League positions. And yeah, it's just mad to think. So 10 games where you'd say Villa have really not been very good and sat fourth.
Yeah. I suppose we did win the 11 in a row, which have absolutely carried us this season. But then since then, since Christmas, we've just looked really poor. And I said to you before we come on, after the Wolves game was the first time where I've thought to myself, we're not going to make the Champions League here. After every other result, I thought, okay, we'll get it right eventually. Maybe it'll tweak the system. But it's been like say 5 games straight now, 6 if you include Everton. Obviously, we beat Newcastle away in between that. But it just seems though every time we play a team in the bottom half, like even no matter how bad the team is, like Wolves probably one of the worst teams in Premier League history. As long as you are defensively organised, you're probably going to get results against Villa. And like I say, I think when a team comes onto us a bit more, that used to favour us. But like say against Bournemouth, the other week, second half, we were absolutely dominated. And we played Chelsea in the week that I'm not looking forward to it at all. I feel like we weren't great even. We won 11 in a row at every game. We were sort of winning by 1 goal pretty much, apart from 1 or 2. But at least we were having a go. We were going for games. You know, we were going man to man from the start, getting in front and then trying to control the game and, you know, doing the slow tempo that we are now. Whereas now it's just every game we start slow. First half, you thought against Wolves, thought couldn't get any worse. It somehow got worse. We come out the second half even worse. Got just Emery, the team selections at the minute, persistent with Buendia and Bailey. These are players who weren't good enough when we were in mid-table side, and Dean Smith and Steven Gerrard. And now Buendia seems to be one of our main starters. I just don't understand. Persistent of Watkins as well. Now I've signed Tammy Abraham. I really don't understand it. I've said before, Emery's an elite coach, but at the minute something's got to change. Otherwise, I really don't see where the next win's coming from. It's just so poor.
There we go. There we go. So it's all tightening up in the Champions League race. Now, last week we had a conversation at the end of the show regarding relegation and teams that can potentially go down. Burnley found themselves 3 goals behind at home to Brentford. They then found themselves well in the game. It's not a game that I expected to take the top line and the headline this weekend, Sean, but it has. In Burnley 3, Brentford 4, a bonkers game of Premier League football, which I'm going to task you with the mission of trying to unpack.
Well, you're lucky because I was actually at home bored all afternoon, sort of following the results. A rare Saturday off. I had doing not a lot. I didn't see the replay of the first disallowed goal, so I suppose the main talking point is the last one. Don't know if you've seen it, but all like the channels that show the games, they were like showing the injury time. They like switched to that game and they scored.
It wasn't handball. Come on, Sean, it's not handball.
Oh, it is. I think. Well, there's one the other week. I can't remember whether it was a West Ham. It might have been a West Ham game because you lot like to moan about the referees and VAR a little bit. Remember I said, I think it was one where they had 2 angles and you couldn't 100% tell whether it hit his chest, his stomach, or his arm. I can't remember what game it was.
So then is it clear and obvious to then disallow it for VAR to intervene?
Firstly, I've got a feeling the clear and obvious word they brought in a few years ago doesn't exist anymore.
Is it?
I think I'm right in saying that. But we had 2 angles on the TV, and one looked like handball, and one looked like it might have brushed his chest. It might have brushed his chest onto his arm. So if VAR have got the same angles we've got on the TV, I thought it was probably handball. But when I say probably, I'm not 100%. So if you're not 100%, and I can't see how anyone can be, I don't see how they can disallow it if they've got the same pictures as what we've got. If they think they spent a good few minutes looking at it, whether it's just because they didn't have the bottle to disallow it quick, I don't really know. But I said this many times over the years. I don't think we've got enough cameras to give 100% decisions on a lot of them, and I think
it's one of those instances again where you feel we've got 2 angles and they both paint different pictures, and we haven't got the clear and definitive angle that we need.
But yeah, you almost need an angle come from the other side of the pitch to sort of hit the inside of his arms. You can't see. Yeah, letter of the law, if it hits the arm of a goal scorer, it's got to be disallowed. So that's true. But I think it probably was handball, but I would only say probably, and that's not a definite wording, is it? So I don't know. I think that needs ironing out. But I'm gonna say this every year, but ironing out little things with VAR. But it's still coming down. A decision like that is still coming down to human decision. Like, we'll come on my game in a minute with the push in the back. Do you know what I mean? Like, we spoke about it last weekend in North London Derby. Was that a push? Should that have been disallowed? There's no different in today's game at all, really. I don't know if you've seen them both. I can remember last week there was very, very little in it. So we're still relying on a bloke sat in a room looking at a screen. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know. Yeah, it's a harsh one for Burnley because they did do really well in the game, didn't they? I know
at one point towards the end, they could have won it. They could have drew it, and then they ended up losing it. If they win it, they're just 3 points behind West Ham then, and then the point last week comes true to an extent.
Yeah, they're having a go, aren't they? They're low on. We'll come on to this again in a minute. In a lot of teams in the league, you've got teams with quality playing way below their standard, and you've got teams with not much quality having a go. It's a shame more teams haven't got more of an even balance. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's a kick in the teeth for them. But like I said, we said it a couple of weeks ago about it might, but you can't really tell if it was handball or not. Or so, how do you give it if you can't 100% tell? Like I haven't got the greatest of eyesight, but I must have watched it. But like I said, the stream I was watching was showing it every angle they could have shown about 5-6 times, and it wasn't that clear. I even watched the old firm derby a little bit earlier. I don't know if you've seen any of that.
Yeah, I did as well. Yeah.
Celtic got a 91st minute penalty, and I wasn't too sure on that. It's a handball basically, and his arm was sort of up, but it was about a foot away, and he didn't intentionally do it. And
couldn't really do much. I thought couldn't really get out the way. I thought it was quite harsh, to be honest.
The commentator, I don't know if he was a former Celtic player. He was like, "Oh no, it was Chris Sutton."
Yeah,
Chris
Sutton.
He was going, "I don't know what they're messing about. It's a clear penalty." But I don't know. I thought in the Premier League, even though it was right in front of Chris Sutton, he's a bit of an idiot anyway. But he was saying, "Oh, I thought the goalie saved it, but he said the defender saved it." It was like almost like he was trying to talk VAR into it. But I didn't personally like that as handball either, to be honest. Like his arm was sort of half up, but it was at point blank range. You know what I mean? He definitely didn't even know where the ball was when he hit his arm. So again, we're relying on a bloke in a room, aren't we? So.
Well, it's been a while since we've had to talk about VAR, to be fair, so that's probably where credit should be provided, because there was a stage where we were talking about it every week without fail because of a decision, you know?
I think this automated offside thing has come in. I think as fans, I feel like we've accepted that, haven't we, a little bit?
Yeah.
I know some of them are still pathetically tight, but I think the new way of the picture and all that nonsense, I feel like we've accepted it on the whole, but the rules are still too flaky. And like I said, we'll come on the mind in a minute, how you can have a push in the back, 2 hands in the back last week, and you disallow it today. There's a clear one view on the camera. There was 2 hands in the back. Do you know what I mean? What's the difference? Do you know what I mean? I can't really.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, the comment section is pretty conclusive. Burnley were robbed. VAR had it in for them. Burnley were robbed, in my opinion. So there's a conclusive opinion of the people watching this. Yeah, it is split opinion in some ways, and it's been very controversial, that game. And what an ending, and what a game as well. Right, let's go to Anfield next. Liverpool 5, West Ham 2, and I'm actually going to continue this pushing the back debate as well. None of you would have seen it because not VAR, because have you seen it? Okay.
I did see it because I seen your little cry on your video about it, and I actually searched. I searched it on X, and someone did a little, not in slow motion or anything, or it was a close up. They just said, "Oh, they didn't get a penalty for this." It looked like an over the top dive in the little short clip I seen, but you were obviously a lot closer.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen a replay of it. I saw it in real time, and it looked like there was 2 hands on the back. It looked like there was at least 1 hand on the back, and there was a push on Tati. He did make a meal of it. He did. There's no doubt in that. But again, you can make the argument that Gabriel last week, whatever. But look, it wasn't the reason we lost the football match. The reason we lost the football match is we couldn't defend. You know, we got better. We had 3 clean sheets out of 4 in February, and it all sort of unravelled at Anfield in a stage where we actually weren't too bad going forward, and we looked a pretty decent threat in the few times that we did go forward. Couldn't defend from corners for the first goal, too much space. Ekitike does the rest. Hermanson, I think, should do slightly better. It wasn't a great and convincing shot from Ekitike. We decide to have, we decide to put a 5'6" bloke on Van Dijk from a corner, like that's ever going to work, and then leave our 6'6" bloke to mark Salah or whoever else was in the box. That was just pointless. So that's 2-0, and then 3-0 from a deflection in a blink of an eye. We're 3-0 down away at Anfield, and we're thinking of cricket scores more than competitiveness in a game. And I'm glad we got back into the game. Sort of second half, because I thought we deserved it. It was certainly wasn't a 3-0 game at half time. It was probably one goal in it, probably for Liverpool's way. I don't like this XG rubbish, because you've got to put the ball in the back of the net, but it was higher. We had more possession away at Anfield, which is something I don't think we've ever had. To be totally honest, we just about trumped them in that sense. But at the end of the day, if you can't defend going to Anfield, you're always going to struggle. And if you'd have told me yesterday morning when I woke up that there'll be 7 goals in the game, I'd have been fearing the very worst. And it wasn't quite the very worst, but it wasn't great. And does it feel like a missed opportunity? Probably not, because we've won 4 times there in 125 years. So it's a rarity that we pick anything up at Anfield. So we all deep down knew what was coming, but the manner of it, the way we got ourselves back into the game, a couple of opportunities, and then let another soft goal in, was frustrating. But I think if you're going to declare a winner from this weekend, I think it's probably West Ham. We had the toughest game out of the 3, and we've all lost. It's a big round of midweek fixtures, and what happens there will probably put us in a really good position to know who will go and who will stay. Josh, any thoughts?
Yeah, I thought when I looked at it, it could have been a potential banana skin for West Ham, although then you look at the record, and as you said, West Ham haven't won in about God knows how long. But I just thought Liverpool usually struggle against low blocks. West Ham, good run of form. But yeah, it did sound like West Ham were a threat on the break going forward. I seen they had more XG. However, Liverpool seemed to be turning it around a little bit last few weeks. They were quite lucky against Forest. But I think 3 or 4 wins in a row now for them. I think they won at Sunderland away before that, the first team in the Premier League to win there. So I think they are slowly getting it right. Liverpool, I always thought they would eventually, with the amount of money they've spent. Thought again Vert could have been a big loss, but didn't seem to affect them too much. But yeah, results definitely went West Ham's way this season. Still within 4 of Spurs this weekend. Sorry, still within 4 of Spurs. I think 1 or 2 behind Forest. They also lost. So yeah, still think West Ham in shout. I think they do go to Man City away. Is that right? Or was that Forest?
In a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting mixed up. I think it's Forest to go to Man City away this week, and Fulham, West Ham have. Is it Fulham, West Ham are playing? So yeah, hopefully that could be a chance to get some points on the board there. But yeah, I think it's not lost at all this weekend for West Ham.
Yeah, we'll roll into Fulham. Hang on, Sean. 2 seconds. We'll come into. You can make your point in a sec. So we've got Fulham have played Spurs. We've got Fulham on Wednesday. It's as you were with the teams at the bottom. Sean, a thought on the West Ham game and then a thought on the Spurs game.
I'll give you first of all about you saying if any team won this weekend that the 3, and I've seen you had a few comments about it as well. It's a nonsense that you say West Ham might have benefited, because I think this season I think it's a bit irrelevant who the opposition are, because look at Wolves, they've just turned over Villa. Do you know what I mean? Liverpool are very hit and miss. You never know what you're going to get, and ultimately it's 3 bad results for the 3 teams down there. But West Ham have damaged their goal difference more than the others. Do you know what I mean? So that is the only way I could think you can really look at it. I did watch the game. In fact, I watched about an hour of it because I flicked over to the Accrington Stanley game because I got an invested interest in that as well. It was a funny game to watch, because I thought, when did they score first? After about 10 minutes? Was it quite early?
What, 5 minutes? 5 minutes.
Well, I thought it looked like you were going to park the bus after the first 5 minutes. You seemed to go deep, and then you had to rip the script up because they scored very early. And then you started coming out, and they let you have most of the ball. And then it was just sloppy defending at both ends, and there wasn't much closing down in midfield from either teams a lot. I thought it almost looked like, it's strange because both teams have got a lot to play for. Reminded me a bit of an end of season dead rubber a little bit. Do you know where players are going through the motions a little bit? That's what it reminded me of a little bit, where the alertness and the concentration wasn't quite there from either side. So, and I think they beat you because both teams were like that, but they've just got that extra bit of quality at the top end of the field. Do you know what I mean? Defensive wise, I think it wasn't just the corners which you've been poor at. I remember commentary saying, I think it was 2 goals, might have been in the first half. You conceded from defending the corner, but when they recycled it, so almost like you've defended the corner, done the dirty work, and then it's like the positional sense is then all over the shop when you're coming out from the corner. So there's that as well. I think one of the goals, I know you've had some issues defending, but I think Wan-Bissaka's usually been a pretty solid defender. I thought he was quite poor. Was it the Gapco goal?
Yeah, he's been poor for the defensively. He's been poor for the majority of the season. I mean, going forward, he's faultless, but he can't defend really.
Yeah, that was his quality for years at Palace and United. That he was known as I think he sort of turned his back on the shot a little bit, and I thought that's a bit.
It was poor.
That's what did you ask me to go on to the Tottenham game? Did you?
I did. Yeah.
Well, I said last week the next two games will probably no, and I'll be honest, I only watched the first half because I drove to Bath for my boys' game, but they look like
My
a
concern
team.
with it would be, hang on, my concern with it would be is, I mean, I had a clip of his press conference in the week, and he didn't seem overly bothered, the manager. And I've seen your tweets regarding, the players and and there's no desire there. But if you do go down at the end of the season, how much blame goes on this selection of a manager? Because I don't get it at all. I really don't.
Well, the only reason quickly on the game again, we look like a team. We look like a group of players because we've only got about 13 available. We look like a group of players. When I said earlier about Burnley, like they're giving a bit of fight and going for it. We aren't. We aren't going for it. But we look like a team who I wouldn't even say going through the motions. And either that or we look unfit or the legs have gone. We just don't. We look very disjointed. I would say I haven't watched Forest for a few weeks, but West Ham, I think they might lack quality, but I think they're gonna go for it a bit. Do you know what I mean? You have in the last couple of months, Leeds, they're gonna go for it and probably nibble away at the points. Tottenham don't look like they're going for it. They had one shot on target in 90 minutes. I did see one of the bloggers come out on the way at the ground. Our shots on target in first half of the games, in first half of matches this season, is the second worst only to Burnley. We didn't really look like I think we had 9 shots first half, and I can't remember one of them. Put it that way. Like it was on paper. And I know football's not played on paper. If you look at football CVs, if every single player went up for sale for Tottenham, they'd make an absolute fortune because a lot of top clubs have come buying a lot of the players. They just would. Do you know what I mean? All the top clubs are linked to buying Tottenham players. Most windows, we could probably make 250 million centre free centre backs alone. Do you know what I mean? But if they're not bothered, if they're half-hearted, it doesn't mean naff all, does it? Do you know what I mean? And a lot of fans come out of that game thinking we'll be very, very lucky to go down. Oh, stay up. Sorry, very, very lucky to stay up. I think.
But the issue at the moment is you've got West Ham. You've got a portion of West Ham fans, probably 50% say, yeah, we're gonna go. I've seen a lot of Forest fans today say we're gone, and I've seen a lot of Spurs fans today say we're gone. So unless Burnley do the unthinkable, 2 of the sides are staying up, and all 3 fan bases think they're gonna go. So 2 are gonna be happy.
I think Tottenham are they on 29 points? Tottenham 28?
29.
We won't get 40. We won't get 40. We're home to Palace on Thursday, which is huge. I don't think we'll beat them. I don't honestly see it. They could. You said about you don't understand the Tudor. We had Thomas Frank had to go, but they got rid of him too late. It was a wrong fit. We've appointed wrong fits before, and they've gone. Do you know what I mean? That is just part of it. If you get rid of him too late, then the options to replace are very limited. In fact, I'll say so limited. There wasn't many options out there. Igor Tudor was a name been linked to the club a couple of times over the years when Paratici, the director of football, was there. So it was a name they probably looked at through the club. I think it appealed to them that he's a no-nonsense and his record going into clubs is very good initially. Like if you look at the first 8-10 games when he turned seasons around, but he's lost his rag today, called it out. Today they just didn't. It's still a little bit disjointed because we got a lot of players out. Do you know what I mean? It is, And I'll be honest, we've signed good players who walk into a lot of Prem sides like Xavi Simons, Conor Gallagher, who we can't get the best out of in the Premier League. Champions League, great, but that's meaningless now. In the league, we can't get the best out of them. We're still playing a disjointed left back because the young kid we got from Brazil probably isn't ready. Do you know what I mean? I said last week, we started the season not ready with so many injuries. Jed Spence, by the way, missed today's game. Calf injury. Another injury picked up not during a game. Do you know what I mean? Like, the amount of injuries we've had, you wait for the team sheet to come out. Oh, he missed a game with a bad calf. Like, what's going on?
Somebody's going in there and 2-footing every single one of them on a weekly basis. I'm convinced of it.
Yeah. So I don't know if Fulham are Fulham. Do you know what I mean? It's the same old. It's the same Fulham. I don't know how long I've been in the Premier League. 5-6 seasons now, probably ish. You know they're going to win a couple. They win a couple in bursts. They're going to give you a bit of a game. I think their first goal they're very lucky probably to get based on what we've seen in recent weeks. The second one was just a good little ping from the edge of the box, but maybe if we had a proper left back out there, he might have read the danger. But we didn't. It took subs to come on to get a goal. Richarlison, whether people rate Richarlison, he's gonna put a shift in. He's gonna care. Do you know what I mean? A lot of our players out there. I think I was tweeting a little bit. I think the word I looked was scared. We're not good at defending. We're not creating enough, and I'm struggling to see. They have to really buy into this manager, and they have to really care. Because if we go down, it'd be the most valuable squad by absolute mile in Prem history to go down. And I don't know.
And there'll be none of them left.
Well, I wouldn't have thought. I'll be shocked if there's any relegation clauses they can leave. Because let's be honest, no one at Tottenham would even remotely consider us to being a threat of going down, and rightly so. Many would want to go, but like I said, we're talking about players. You look, when I say football CV, I know it doesn't mean a lot, but it does mean a lot when players want to get bought. Like, if we put Van de Ven and Romero up for sale, you would have the biggest clubs in the world looking at him. You just would. Do you know what I mean? Pedro Porro, he can't defend for shit, but you would still have, he's probably going to start for Spain in the Euros. Do you know what I mean? And I could go through the whole list. Like, this club, believe it or not, this top Italian side's linked to Vicario all the time. We got an 18-year-old centre back on loan in Germany who's rated as one of the best young centre backs in the world. He's on loan, and it's so tragic. A lot of fans don't even think he'll kick a ball for us, because we'll get to the point where we'll probably cash in the Real Madrid for about 80 million. Do you know what I mean? And
right. So you faced Fulham today. You've got Palace on Thursday, Wednesday, whenever it is. We've got Fulham on Wednesday. Were you blown away by Fulham? And so can you see a point against Palace very quickly before we move on?
I said at the beginning of the week, and I'd like to have seen 4 points from the two games. We're not getting that. I didn't watch the second half today, but blokes coming out of the ground, people I follow, said it could have been 4 or 5. I think they fluffed one when we nearly gifted one Porro a back pass or something. We play Thursday, so it's the last of the week. I'm not really one for looking at other teams, to be quite honest, because I refuse to do that. To be honest with you, it's just about finding a bit of form. We got a Champions League game after this. This is the funny part, and the club have dropped it to a Category C game because they're probably aware that it's a big Champions League game, and not many fans will want to go because obviously you've got to pay extra. The Champions League's not your season ticket's not included. Yeah, it's not included. So no, there could be 40,000 in the stadium for it, and they could heavily get booed off Thursday. It's just, to put it very simply, I've waffled on a bit. It's just nowhere near good enough, and we don't have that little bit of give it a go. What I'm seeing from Leeds, West Ham, maybe Forest. I haven't really seen them, but I can imagine they give it a go a little bit. Tottenham are not giving it a go.
There we go. So 40,000 for a Champions League night. Good preparation for 40,000 in the Championship next season if it keeps going. Sorry, I just had to. I had to. Let's move on. Let's move on. Right, we're going to finish. We're going to go back in time. We're going to turn back time because we simply have to talk about Jordan Pickford's save. Newcastle 2, Everton 3. I was listening to TalkSport and 606 on the way back from Anfield yesterday, Josh, and there was a lot of Newcastle fans ringing up wanting Howe gone. And a lot of Everton fans seem very happy with Mr. David Moyes and a magnificent save from England's number one, Jordan Pickford.
Yeah, it was a class save. Probably save of the season, to be honest, by far. Tonali was a great hit on the volley, but don't know he's kept it out. He's going the wrong way, and he goes back to the side. Tips it over the ball, unbelievable to be fair. It's funny you should say how Everton seem quite happy with Moyes. I think overall they most definitely do. But after the Man United game and just before that zone of teams actually come out, there was a few people starting to sort of moan a little bit about him, and also when the team should come out against Newcastle. From when Jake O'Brien got sent off against Bournemouth the other week, everyone sort of expects the only actual right back they've got, Nathan Patterson, to play. And Moyes put to centre mid at right back and James Garner. And I think Everton fans are starting to sort of realise what West Ham fans said a little bit about how he can be a bit stubborn sometimes. They haven't won a home game for over 2.5 months, I'm pretty sure, since the 5th of December against Nottingham Forest. So the home form has been very poor. So there was a few people starting to moan about Moyes. But when you look at the away form, for me, you can't knock it. I'm pretty sure behind Arsenal, I think they have the joint best away record in the league. Not many people go to St James's and win. Moyes, like I said, he's been getting a bit of stick, especially the team sheet against head of Newcastle when put Dwight McNeely, and who was literally a paper away from leaving on deadline day. A player who wanted to leave, even when he brought a winger in Tyreek George, he starts Dwight McNeil over him. I think he was getting a bit of stick for that. But they win the game, and when you look at it, I'm not too sure how they're 8th in the league, but the 8th in the Premier League. And when you look at it like that for the side who's been just narrowly avoiding relegation 3 or 4 years straight, to now being a European race, I'm pretty sure 8th this year will beat Europa Conference League. You really can't knock the job Moyes has done. The football's
15th will be
best.
Europa Conference League football next season if we keep going like this, to be fair, but there we are.
Yeah, it is daft, but I think this season, unless someone who's not in Europe wins the FA Cup, it will go down to 8th. So when you look at it like that, for the side who's been bottom 6 3 years straight, 3 4 years straight, you can't really knock the manager. The football is never going to be pretty. Probably are better away from home against a team where they can just sit back and hit on the break. But yeah. You can't knock what they've done to be top 8. As for Newcastle fans saying Eddie Howe out, I think that's a bit pathetic, to be honest. Like I was saying about Villa before, I would probably the most boring team to watch in the league. At least Newcastle always go for it. They're always going to have a go. Put Newcastle on the telly, you're going to get a good game. I really like Eddie Howe's style of play, not afraid to go direct. They'll always have a go, no matter who they're playing. I think at home on a day they can cause anyone problems. I think you've got Barcelona in the Champions League. Wouldn't surprise me if they give them a game. Barcelona pull out a really high line, might play into the hands a little bit. Obviously this season it's not been great, just like the other year when you got Champions League, seems to take a lot out of them. They finished 7th or 8th that year. I still think they've got a chance to end up top 8 Newcastle. I think one of Brentford or Everton could fall out the top 8 and Newcastle get in. I think the people saying Eddie Howe to be sacked, it's just ridiculous, really. Maybe he has taken him as far as he possibly can, but they're not going to get anyone better. Like I said, still in the FA Cup, last 16 of that, last 16 the Champions League. I think if they finish in a European position in the Premier League after losing the star man in the summer, I don't think that'll be a bad season if they have a good cup run and decent run the Champions League that they have done. So yeah, I don't think that many want him out, to be honest. But for those that are saying to get rid of him, I think that's a bit ridiculous. But yeah, as for Everton, they're doing great at the minute.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sean showed us he needs to clean his bedroom floor because there's plenty of stuff lurking about there whilst he did his little tour around the glorious bedroom.
The Chinese has turned up and no one's getting it, so I'm fuming.
Okay, right, off you go then. Go on, off you go. Have your Chinese.
No, they've got it now. They've got it, but
Okay.
nobody's listening to the door.
What's the order? What are you having?
Oh, I do like an Indian normally, but I've actually gone for a cheeky Chinese curry, a lamb one. There's 3 of us. There's a salt and pepper chicken,
Yeah.
beef with spring onions and ginger, a couple of egg fried rices, mini spring rolls, sweet and sour sauce, and I'm trying something new, which is crispy chili chicken on the Thai range. So we'll find out what's that.
Did you say it's 3 of you or 13 of you? A couple of egg fried rice, this and that. Sounds like you can feed the whole street.
I know. I like I like 2 servings. I'll have one now and then come back to it.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Right, before we go this evening and before Sean has his Chinese, so we all lost this weekend, so it wasn't great. We've got a midweek round of fixtures, and then we will reunite next. No, sorry, it's FA Cup, so we won't. Maybe we'll. I don't know, it's FA Cup. We'll reunite at some point. This week, midweek is massive. You know, for Villa in terms of the Champions League. Not that anyone cares about that, apart from Josh.
Who have they got?
Chelsea.
Chelsea in it. They got Chelsea, so. Yeah, that could be tough. So you've got Palace, Forest are away at City or home to City. We've got Fulham. There's some big games coming up this week. How important, Sean, is midweek? And you play last. Us and Forest play Wednesday night. You play Thursday night. How much will that make a difference?
It shouldn't make a difference. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, all this sort of playing last and that. Well, it didn't matter yesterday. I mean, for us and Forest knew that you'd already dropped points. Do you know what I mean? So it didn't really make a great deal of difference. Didn't like give him that extra sort of kick on to, right, let's put this to bed. I even read people saying before kickoff, if we win today, that they reckon that was us more or less safe. So do you know what I mean? So it doesn't matter at all what days the game come out, in my opinion. But I think it's going to be some tough games. I think out of the 3 games that you've got the better chance of winning, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But
I'm inclined to agree.
But you are very. I think you're a very similar-ish. Actually, no, I don't think you are similar to the Leeds. I think they defend better than you.
They do. They
I
do, yeah.
yeah, I think you've got the better chance of the 3 of winning because I think you'll just have a go. Do you know what I mean? I think Forest they can have a go, probably won't win at City, and I think we looked scared to death first half today, and I don't think it was any better second half. So a team that's scared. The manager's already said that we're a bit out of shape. Half the squad's injured. I don't have a lot of hope at the moment. I'm just glad that we're at the FA Cup. We ain't got a game at the weekend. I'm quite chuffed.
There we go. Right, in 30 seconds, Josh. Any chance against Chelsea?
I don't think there's much, to be honest. Unless something changes, change the system and it goes a little bit more direct, then to be honest, I think we're going to get absolutely battered. The teams we've played last 5 games have all been the bottom half and we took 5 points. So if we're actually playing someone decent, I just think I'm not confident at all. It's a massive game, but unless something changes, I really can't see. I can't see us getting a result, but you never know. Fingers crossed.
There we go. There's optimism all round on the Premier League Round Up Show panel. Wouldn't it be lovely to be 4th or 5th in the Premier League right now? See, it's a hard life, isn't it? It's a really hard life. People are now saying, right, so Sean's got that big Chinese platter. Terry's had 4 scrambled egg on toast because apparently I ate him out of the house and home this weekend. Well, we had steak on Friday and that was it. We had steak whilst watching Wolves rip apart Aston Villa, which was actually highly entertaining, Josh, to be totally honest. Don't take offence to it, but it was very nice indeed. And there was no Krispy Kreme donut because we definitely did not win this weekend. So hopefully I can treat myself to a Krispy Kreme donut on the way home from Craven Cottage on Wednesday evening. A big week of football. We'll rejoin you at some point. I don't know when it's going to be, but maybe we'll have to cram one in at the end of this week if Sean's not in Benidorm or somewhere eating an Indian, or I don't know. He's a busy man, as he told us.
I'm not coming on doing an FA Cup one.
No, not FA Cup. No. Like after this game week, so like Friday.
Oh well, I don't know. We'll see.
See, honestly, I pay him enough and he just doesn't turn up. Thank you very much indeed, Sean and Josh, as always. Thank you very much, everybody, for getting involved in the chat. As we've just seen, there's lots of optimism for the midweek action from our panel, and we will see whether that materialises. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Cheers. See you again.
See you later.
Thank you very much. We'll see you soon right here on West Ham, an official preview for Fulham tomorrow night. But until then, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.